Scorpio, as you hear my voice right now, there is a movement unfolding in the shadows that has everything to do with you. And if you turn away too soon, you might miss the single most important revelation of your life, because someone is preparing something you cannot yet see. A plan whispered behind closed doors, a decision made in silence. And when it reaches you, it won't just touch your world. It will break through the walls you've carefully built, exposing truths you never thought would come to light. Truths so raw and unexpected, they will leave you breathless, torn between fear and fascination. And this isn't random. It's part of a cosmic alignment that has been stirring for weeks, preparing you for an encounter that will awaken parts of you that have been dormant for years. So stay with me until the end, Scorpio, because what I'm about to reveal will help you understand not only what is coming, but why it was always destined to find you. Scorpio, breathe. This is not a threat wrapped in darkness, but an invitation disguised as a test. Whatever is being prepared in the shadows is not there to destroy you, but to peel away the layers that have kept your light locked inside. And even though your instinct may tighten and your chest may clench at the thought of exposure, know this: the universe is not conspiring against you. It is conspiring for you, aligning circumstances and people so that the parts of you you've been ashamed of, the desires you learned to hide, and the wounds you thought defined you can finally be seen, held, and transformed. You are not alone in this. Countless Scorpios are feeling the same subtle shifts, the quickened dreams, the uncanny encounters, and that shared stirring is a quiet assurance that what's coming carries a deeper medicine, a cleansing that will teach you how to keep your boundaries while showing up more fully, how to let intensity become power rather than a burden, and how to surrender without losing yourself. Because healing does not mean shrinking. It means remembering who you were always meant to be. Scorpio, when change approaches, it never crashes in with obvious thunder. It arrives like a whisper that grows louder until you can no longer ignore it. And the first sign will be the trembling of the walls you've built around yourself, the invisible fortress that kept your fire hidden from those who couldn't handle it. For so long you've believed that moderation and restraint were necessary for survival, that showing only fragments of your truth would keep you safe. But soon you'll realize that these walls are not as solid as you imagined. A single look, a single moment, a single presence will make them transparent, and what you've been guarding so fiercely will begin to pulse with new life. Beneath those walls lives the truth you've buried, every passion you tucked away, every desire you convinced yourself was too much, every dream you left behind because the world called it impossible. All of it is still alive, waiting for air, and when this presence steps into your life, it will feel as if someone has opened a hidden door inside you, and light floods in where you thought there was only silence. You will recognize yourself in ways that are both unsettling and exhilarating. It will feel like remembering a song you haven't heard in decades, yet somehow every word is still engraved in your bones. You may try to dismiss it, to rationalize it, to say it's just coincidence, but deep down you will know this is not ordinary. This is destiny. Then the synchronicities begin. At first, they will seem small. A phrase repeated by different people in the same week. A dream that lingers into your morning. A chance encounter that stretches into hours. You'll notice numbers repeating. Clocks catching your eye at the exact moment you were thinking of them. Signs appearing in places you would normally overlook. And the more you notice, the stronger the pattern becomes, until it feels like reality itself is bending to make sure you arrive at the right place, at the right time, to meet the one who has been walking toward you all along. You will realize that nothing is random. The universe is preparing you step by step, guiding you with invisible threads. And when the encounter finally comes, Scorpio, it will not be gentle. It will be a mirror held to your soul, reflecting not the polished image you've carefully crafted, but the raw intensity of who you truly are. This person will not be fooled by your practiced words or your carefully chosen expressions. They will see the shadows you've hidden, the brilliance you've suppressed, the wounds you thought made you unworthy. It will be unnerving to feel so exposed, as if someone has read chapters of your story you didn't even know were written. But here is the miracle. They will not turn away. They will not ask you to dim your fire. They will not try to tame your storms. Instead, you will stand firm, honoring what others once feared. This is the point where fear collides with liberation. You will be terrified by the depth of recognition. Yet, at the same time, you will feel an unshakable relief. For the first time, someone will meet your intensity, not with judgment, but with reverence. They will remind you that your depth is not a weakness, that your passions are not liabilities, that your scars are not shameful. They will show you that the very things you thought made you unlovable are exactly what make you magnetic, powerful, and rare. And from this moment, everything begins to shift. What once lived in shadows now comes alive in color. What once was silenced now speaks loudly. What once felt like hiding now transforms into freedom. This awakening will not erase your past, Scorpio. It will redeem it. Every wound will reveal itself as a hidden source of strength. Every fear will point the way to deeper courage. Every piece of yourself you once tried to bury will return as part of your power. And as you stand in this truth, you will finally see that what you once feared in the shadows was never your enemy. It was always your guide, preparing you for the moment when you would no longer live a half-life, but step fully into the fire of who you were always meant to be. Scorpio, not every soul will feel this approaching presence in the same way. For though you all share the same constellation written across your spirit, the rhythm of the stars plays differently depending on when you entered this world. And for those born in the early days of your sign, between late October and the beginning of November, this encounter will stir the embers of creativity you thought had burned out long ago. It will arrive like a sudden rush of color after years of grayscale, reminding you that art, music, words, and expression are not luxuries, but languages of your soul that must breathe again. While for those who walk the middle path of Scorpio, born in the heart of November, this meeting will press against your sense of power and authenticity, asking questions you can no longer avoid. Questions about whether you are truly living for yourself, or still shaping your life according to expectations that were never yours to carry. And though these questions may sting, they will open the door to a deeper authority, a truer voice, a steadier spine that no longer bows to illusion. And for those born toward the end of Scorpio's reign, as November leans toward its close, the impact will be felt in the realm of spirit, where unseen forces whisper, and the veil between worlds feels thinner. You may find yourself drawn to silence, to meditation, to signs and dreams that stretch beyond logic, because the one who approaches you will not just stir your emotions. They will awaken the part of you that longs to connect with the eternal, the infinite, the divine pulse that beats underneath everything. Yet do not think that your date of birth limits your transformation, for in truth, every Scorpio will feel this encounter as a breaking open of the self, a remembering of what has been dormant, a return to the depths that make you who you are. And while the expressions may differ, some painted in creativity, some carved in power, some whispered in prayer, the essence remains the same. You will no longer be able to live a half-life. This person comes not to hand you answers, but to hold up the mirror so you can see the questions that matter. They arrive not to fix you, but to remind you that you were never broken. They appear not to diminish your intensity, but to invite you to embrace it as the rare gift it is. And when you finally see yourself reflected through their eyes, Scorpio, you will understand that the path you've walked, every scar, every silence, every storm, was leading here, to this moment of recognition, where destiny ceases to be a distant concept and becomes the very ground beneath your feet. Scorpio, this is the moment where everything reaches its breaking point, where the intensity you have carried, like a secret storm, collides with the presence that refuses to let you hide. And at first, it will feel like standing in front of a mirror that sees through flesh and bone, straight into the marrow of your soul. You will want to turn away, because the rawness is almost unbearable. Yet something inside you will not move. It will hold you there trembling and alive. And in that trembling, a truth begins to rise. You are not here to be small. You are not here to dilute your fire. You are not here to live behind the walls you once thought protected you. And as this realization dawns, the fear that once gripped you will start to unravel like smoke, carried away by a wind you cannot control. And in its place, a fierce kind of freedom begins to burn. The kind of freedom that says you no longer need to apologize for the depth of your feelings, the intensity of your passions, or the power of your presence. You may cry, you may laugh. You may feel the ground beneath you shift, as though you are being torn apart and remade at the same time. And that is exactly what is happening, Scorpio. For transformation in your world is never gentle. It is the fire that consumes so that only what is true can survive. It is the ocean wave that crashes to drag away what no longer belongs. It is death and rebirth entwined in one heartbeat, and you will feel it in your chest, in your bones, in your very breath. And at the height of this process, you will be confronted with the parts of yourself you have tried hardest to bury. The wounds you thought made you weak, the desires you thought made you unacceptable, the shadows you believed disqualified you from love. And yet, instead of rejection, you will find reflection. Instead of judgment, you will find understanding. Instead of shame, you will find recognition. And in that recognition, healing will bloom like wildflowers in the cracks of old stone walls. Untamed, unplanned, yet undeniable, you will come to see that the pain you carried was never meant to cage you. It was meant to carve you, to shape the vessel that now can hold greater love, greater truth, greater power. And you will realize that your scars are not ugly marks of failure, but luminous pathways where the light enters you. And as this person continues to hold space for your becoming, you will feel yourself softening and strengthening at once. Softer in your willingness to be seen, stronger in your resolve to never again deny who you are. And this is the climax, Scorpio, the moment where the shadow and the light dance together, where your fear and your desire meet in the same breath, where you feel both the terror of exposure and the ecstasy of liberation. It will not be easy, but it will be worth everything. For on the other side of this fire is the life you have always longed to live. A life where your intensity is not hidden but honored, where your passion is not feared but celebrated, where your truth is not silenced but sung. This is the sacred paradox of your journey. You must die to the false versions of yourself to be reborn as the truest one. You must surrender control to discover your deepest power. You must allow yourself to break in order to finally be whole. And as the waves of this transformation wash over you, there will be moments of clarity so sharp they cut through years of confusion. Moments where you understand why you endured what you did, why you waited so long, why it had to be this exact timing. And in those moments, you will whisper to yourself, I see it now, I feel it now, I am ready now, and Scorpio. This readiness is the healing. It is not about becoming perfect or unscarred. It is about embracing your contradictions, holding both your darkness and your light with tenderness, and stepping forward without apology. The person who catalyzes this may not stay forever. They may not even know the depth of what they've done. But their role is not to complete you. It is to awaken you, to strike the match that ignites the fire you will continue to tend. And as that fire glows, you will notice changes everywhere, in how you speak, more honest and direct, in how you love, deeper and freer, in how you work, aligned with your true values, and most importantly, in how you see yourself, no longer as someone who must hide, but as someone who was always meant to transform the world by simply being. This is the climax, and the healing intertwined, the death of what was false, and the birth of what is real. And though it will leave you shaken, it will also leave you more alive than you have ever been. Scorpio, if these words stir something inside you, if you feel the strange mix of anticipation and recognition rising in your chest, know that this is not coincidence. It is confirmation that the shift you've sensed is already unfolding, and you are not alone in this. Thousands of Scorpios across the world are feeling the same invisible tremors, the same restless dreams, the same pull towards something they can't quite name. So let your voice join theirs. Leave a comment that says simply, "I feel the shift," because sometimes the most powerful medicine is realizing we are walking this path together, each of us carrying different wounds, but moving toward the same awakening. And as you write those words, you are not only claiming your truth, but lighting a signal for another Scorpio who may feel isolated in their transformation, showing them that they too are part of something greater. Remember, what is being prepared in the shadows is not here to destroy you but to reveal you, not to weaken you but to free you. And though the process may unsettle you, the outcome is the greatest blessing your soul could ever receive. A life where you stop apologizing for your depth, where you honor your passion as sacred, where you finally understand that you are never meant to blend in but to blaze with a light so intense it changes every room you enter. So subscribe, Scorpio. Stay connected, because this journey is just beginning. And as the veils continue to fall, you will need reminders, guidance, and community to anchor you through the waves of change. And know this above all else: what waits for you is not emptiness, but fullness. Not loss, but liberation. Not an ending, but a beginning. And the moment you allow yourself to trust this, you will step into the chapter your soul has been waiting for. The one where you no longer live half-hidden, but fully alive, fully free, fully you.